Hey, how are you doing?
I'm all ready.
Yeah.
Have you mastered the clove hitch?
No, I haven't. Right. Go over.
One side.
One side. It's quite hard on a rocky boat, and then you go on the other side.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's it. I'm
On
through.
the other side, and then you've got to leave a loop to come through.
You've got to go through the little loop, yeah.
So.
Hello and welcome to Kia, one of the first Aegean islands on our way over to Turkey for the winter. Had an interesting trip, different weather, different crew. Even had a little trip back to the UK myself, so that's why this one's a week late. Hope you enjoy the film. Coming up, docking single-handed. It can be a challenge on Fair Isle. Sailing with an all-girl crew. And Judy's back, ready for the sun. I'm just coming into Olympic Marina. Luckily there's not too much in the way of wind because I'm single-handed and that's never easy with this boat trying to dock. But I've given them a call on the VHF, then I'm single-handed, so I'm sure they'll lend a hand. I've got ropes fore and aft, so I can, depending on where they put us, going forward or backwards. This boat's not easy to reverse in a straight line, so if it's sort of a difficult one going down a fairway, I'll do it forwards and going forwards. Got my options open. Olympic Marina, this is Yacht Fair Isle, just coming through the marina entrance now, waiting instructions on where to go. Just see you in there.
Yeah, Captain, yeah. Slow.
Okay. Yeah, jump. The Marineros wanted me to hold station while they had a word with the motorboat behind. And then they came back and led the way in. Two men on shore and one in the rib. Other mariners take note, as this is how to assist docking. A rib driver ready to help positioning, but not doing anything unless instructed to do so by the skipper. I didn't need a shove, so he didn't give it. 10 out of 10. This is the bit that's most difficult single-handed. If you have any sort of wind pushing you onto the dock, you really want to stay at the helm and be able to move the boat forward if necessary. Fortunately, the wind was light, and by keeping a bit of pressure on the slime line as you raise it, we stayed in position. So all good, very happy with that. So we're stern 2 in a marina for the first time actually in all these years. But there we go, it's quite a gap. They want us a fair way off because we're expecting a lot of wind tomorrow. So as he came in, he said, yeah, you know, keep her away off because you're going to get pushed towards it. So I'm going to use my board, which never used before, so I sat behind the box there. I assume it was sort of there as a bit of a parasail, so I'll try and rig it up, a bit of rope, and get it down there, see if I can get it to work. There's a little drawbridge. It about reaches. Put it on the topping lift so I can raise it up. See if it's scraping. Should do the job. It's showering out, it's hot. So settled in nicely. This is where I am on the sea wall out here. I think this is where they normally put the charter boats, but it's perfectly fine. I went out to they've got a yacht club here. They do quite nice food, so that's good. But the one thing that's bad about this marina is you'll see from everything that's on the boat here, all this washing, which is what I've spent the day doing basically, rather than doing boat jobs, which is what I wanted to do. And that's because there's no laundry. How can you have a marina without a laundry? I think there used to be laundry machines here, but they've gone to some sort of service thing here, and that's not actually going this week, so it's no use to me. So yeah, day of laundry, and hopefully get on with some boat jobs tomorrow. I'm managing to get on with a few boat jobs now. I've just cleaned all the deck ready for a bit of Semco. A lot of people ask me about Semco. It's great stuff, I think, for teak, for decks. And I have covered it before in the video. It's a bit buried though. It's in one called Off-Season Job. So I'll put a link at the end if you're interested in that. Have a look. It goes through the procedure, so I won't film it again as I've done it. But I've cleaned it all off, and I've used this stuff actually. This time some teak cleaner and brightener, because it's been a couple of years. Normally I don't do that. I just I want to be gentle with it, so I just use a bit of washing up liquid. But yeah, it had a few stains and stuff, so I'll give it a go with that and get on with that tomorrow. While I'm here though, I'm just going to bring you around here and show you this. If you've seen the video on cruising yachts where I talk about fat ass boats and the way they don't sail very well, one of the other things about them, have a listen to this. Big wide fat ass on this thing, and it just sits there going flop, 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 really noisy all night. I'm just sleeping here in the aft cabin. I had to actually close the hatch, it's so noisy. Don't know how you could live with that. Well, something you wouldn't think of. You buy a boat, but if it's got this big flat back section sticking out and it's just there to have the two double cabins in the back, it makes a horrendous noise. The reason for being in the Marina was a quick trip back to the UK. I picked Olympic as it's one of the closest to Athens airport. So after sorting out all the paperwork necessary for travel these days, none of which was looked at by the way, it's off to Blighty. This was the immigration queue at Stansted at midnight. Seems people are flying again. But it was lovely to be back and to be reunited with what I was missing most. Yes, you've guessed it, real ale. We got to meet Chessie in her new house in Kent and meet her mad spaniel Buddy. This is a dog that will launch itself into water like those fast-release lifeboats you see on supertankers. Worth a bit of slow-mo, I think. Millie also has a new flat in London, so we managed to get a trip to see it and get to the theatre. And then all get together in Cambridge. This was a special dinner to celebrate our girls' graduations. Millie and Chessie collect their degrees and Emily her masters this year. Millie's ceremony was the very next day. Covid delayed by a year and slimmed down, it was still a spectacle in true Cambridge style. The students leave Queen's by the back gate and process through the town to the Senate House, cheered on by bystanders. They couldn't allow family in this year, so we watched the ceremony on screens. It's all still in Latin though, so there's a limit to how much we'd understand anyway. Just very proud to see her take the honour. Back on the boat, and we've got to extract ourselves from the Marina. I do have some help though. Melt arm is still really blowing strongly. Got a bit of crew this time, so that'll help me. The girls on board. But it's going to be tricky. It's all a bit tight right up against this one because the wind's blowing us in. Another one there. At least I reversed in so I can go out forward, so that helps. So are you all ready, girls? Action stations? Yeah, just fend off that side. I'll go forward. I use the bow thruster. So if you let go the port side one. Millie and her friends Phoebe and Charlotte have come for a few days sailing. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm all ready.
Yeah. Have you mastered the Clove hitch?
No, I haven't. Right. Go over.
One side.
One side. It's quite hard on a rocky boat, and then you go on the other side.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's it.
On the other side, and then you've got to leave a loop to come through.
You've got to go through the little loop, yeah.
So sweet. It is, isn't it?
I have done a video all about knots. You need to watch it. That's it. And then with that little bit of rope that's left, it's a standing line just round the standing line, which is this one.
Okay.
Well, the mail time is eased a little bit here. We've got about 25 knots of winds at the moment, so we're going along under reefed main and Yankee and full staysail, doing about 6-7 knots. And quite a nice bit of sailing. All the girls are sunbathing. slightly more to starboard,
Is that way?
you'll get starboard's the other way.
That way.
Getting a first from Cambridge doesn't mean you know port from starboard, it seems. But enough so it keeps us out of the roll. Perfect. Starting them off gently just on the foresail on the downwind leg. We did get a bit more adventurous later. Melt time is eased a little bit, so we're off and sailing. Got the girls sunbathing on the foredeck. Hopefully it won't be too splashy up there. Got a reef in the main and a bit of a reef in the Yankee. We'll come round and I'll put the staysail up as well.
Dad's helpfully made sure we're on the wrong tack to get any sun. Not very good sunbathing spot.
And it got worse. The sunbathing deck's got a bit wet, so they've all come back.
The one
Better?
corner of sun.
Lighting all the sunshine.
Hey, if I turn this way, if I don't.
If you're coming to the Aegean, you do have to factor in the Meltemi. It can give you good sailing winds, but if you want a more predictable, lighter wind, then the Ionian to the west of Greece is maybe a better bet. The Meltemi did eventually abate though, but it wasn't until the girls' last day that things calmed down enough to relax at anchor and enjoy the wildlife and play in the sea. Everyone happy, including the swan. We also managed a trip to Poseidon's temple. After anchoring in the bay before and not getting to see it close up, we weren't going to miss out this time. This temple has witnessed 2,500 years of sunsets, and it was a privilege to stand by and watch one ourselves, like millions of people have done before over the centuries. The next sunset though saw me working. Back on my own on the boat, I got the power sander out to freshen up the tow rails. That's it done. A couple of hours last night, another one this morning. Just sanding down, I'm just using 80 grit here. I've got one of my solar generator things here, which is quite good because we're not using the ship's inverter, obviously, because we're still only down to one ship's battery, which isn't good, but these things are great for that, so that's okay. And I say it doesn't need much, it's just 80 grit, a quick go over. They say actually with wood skin you don't need to do it at all if it's just needing an extra coat, but this one, you know, been left too long, so it's got bits that have gone through that I've had to feather out, so yeah, I definitely needed to give it a little bit of a sand, so I'll brush it over now and then clean it off. Got some water in a can that I got from when we were in the
in the Marina, so I use that first. I'll have to put a hose probably on the tap inside. I haven't got the deck wash connected yet to freshwater. I'm going to swap that over to freshwater. I sort of said it before in a video, because with our stainless steel anchor chain, it's better to wash that with fresh water than seawater. So I'm going to convert that over, but not until we've got a water maker, and we still haven't done that. This winter, definitely water maker's going to go in. At the moment, Spectra, top of my list for that. So any thoughts on anything that might be as good as the Spectra, put them in the comments. But from all my research that I've done, I mean, they're great because you know, it's going to be definitely a DC one that I want. We're not going to have the generator, obviously. DC ones are brilliant, and they have this special pump that it's called a Clark pump that uses hardly any power at all. It runs off a couple of amps, so you know, that'd be brilliant to get that done. So hoping to get that done this winter. So I do the best I can with a bucket and a cloth to get all the dust off, and then I'm gonna let it dry before I varnish it. And I'm actually going to go and have lunch just over there is where Millie and her friends have got their Airbnb for a couple of days before they go back. So have a last lunch with them, that'd be lovely.
With the Meltemi blowing up to 50 knots at times, we hadn't made it to the islands with the girls, choosing instead to hide in places like Sunyon Bay by the Temple of Poseidon and up the east coast of the mainland. But with the wind abating, it's time to head out into the Aegean, and what a playground it is. We're heading to the Cyclades, this central group of islands with famous names like Mykonos, Syros, Naxos, Poros, and at the centre of it all, with one of the most important mythological, historical and archaeological sites in the whole of Greece, Delos.
So we're finally off into the Aegean to see the Aegean islands. I'm up just where you put the mainsail up, but you'll notice I haven't got the auto helm with me, and that's because I've got my helmsman back. She's here.
Hello, back where I belong. And we're going where I love these islands. I went backpacking around the islands, Paros, Tinos, when I was in my early 20s. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like now. A bit busier, I think, as with both places. But yeah, the weather's perfect. Well done, Steve. You arranged it for me. Perfect winds, perfect skies. Thank you. We're off. Just plain good luck, I reckon. My first sail takes us to the uninhabited island of Makronissos. Hello, are you filming me trying to get us ready?
Well, it's always an event, you're getting in the dinghy, isn't it? And if you haven't done it for a few months, it might be...
You really think it's going to be that entertaining?
Oh, you've just cast us loose.
No, I haven't. There's another one.
No,
here.
that one's off.
Oh, really?
That
Oh,
one's not on.
God. You're right.
It's right, I'm on the engine, I can do it.
That was a good start. There we go. Elegant as ever.
Lovely.
So there.
Is it good to be back then?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Well, it's a great bay this, isn't it? Look at it.
Absolutely beautiful, and there's no one else here.
All to
Couldn't ask
ourselves.
for more.
All to ourselves. A little bit windy last night.
Yeah, it got a bit hairy, and there was some fishing vessel that arrived at 5 and left by 7.
Yeah, we were awake anyway because we were being sort of pushed about a bit, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think it's just no trees on any of this. I mean, it wasn't sort of Meltemi type weather, was it? It wasn't
No.
that. It wasn't supposed to be windy. It's supposed to be about 10 to 15 knots. It must have been 20, but in here it's gusting 35. So I think it's just it comes over all these hills and hits you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go and explore. Look at that. A beach.
There's goats here. Yeah, so this is it.
We must have had goats here at one point.
Yeah.
Troughs and a well. And there's water in the well. You have to throw a stone down the well. It's the law when you go. Yeah. Goats.
It is goats. Found one.
Two goats.
Found 2 goats.
There we are.
Of
Hey, lovelies. Where's your water then? There's none in your trough. The goats have disappeared up there, but
think they'll run away from you.
Yeah, too scratchy to go up there.
It's lovely to be back, and some of the islands are a bit more populated, so I'm looking forward to meeting people as well.
Yeah, you've got a bit of everything here in the Aegean. I mean, it's a massive area, and you know, we're going all the way over to Turkey for the winter, so we could spend, you know, we could have spent a year exploring here. Sadly, we can't because my Schengen days are pretty much numbered now. You've got a bit more.
Yeah, I have, but we're in it together, so we will be sticking together, and we will have to leave when your days run out. But I do want to see Delos. That's on the agenda, I hope.
Not the sailing channel, the island, which we said is absolutely stunning. We can't stay there overnight though. You can't even anchor out there overnight, so it's day trips.
Right. Okay, well that's fine, a couple of days.
Yeah.
Lots of archaeological sites, so
Yeah.
great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And also it is going to get a bit more windy, I'm told. So
Well,
tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean the wind here, you know, we've had 50 knots. While I was away, we got 50 knots. The Meltemi should sort of just peter off now, though. In October, it just sort of goes down to nothing. It's a summer event, but it's okay for sailors here. I mean, if you're here with a family, you might not want that sort of strong wind, but you know, it's great for sailing, and there are places to hide.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's just as well, because we're going around the corner. We're leaving in a few minutes, actually,
Yeah.
and just going around the corner when we can shelter for a couple of days if necessary.
Yeah, expecting 35, 40 knots for this blast that's coming through, but we've got a bit with an isthmus and a really good little, you know, hidey hole, so we'll be there for a couple of days. That'd be fine.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get some water, because more crew means more usage.
Yes, 3 girls on board. Do use the water up. We are going to get that water maker. We talked about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the days of saying, "Oh, you can do without it," even in places like this, I think you just can't.
No.
You know, it's so much easier to have a water
Our
maker
main
now.
lesson, I think, for
Yeah,
the last couple of
it is.
seasons
So-
is to get a water maker.
So yeah, the research is done. I think Spectra are the one. So I'm going to sort that out and get that in this winter.
Great. So, it just remains for us to say thank you to our patrons and our subscribers, and thank you for sticking with us and watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.